Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, I started suffering. This was a very long time ago. Ever since I became conscious of what school bullying is, that is when I can say that was when I started suffering. I was always bullied at school. The reason as to why people were bullying me, it was because of my body structure. Everyone will make fun of me, and people were always bullying me until I fell pregnant and I fell into the hands of a wrong guy. This guy, my brother, he was just a useless guy, but because of my low esteem, I ended up dating him, and he made me to fall pregnant for him. Life became so hard for me, so much that I ended up becoming a prostitute. Even though when I was now a prostitute, I was still facing discrimination, because some of the men, what they will do is that we would be standing in the street, instead of one choosing me, they will say that I am not nice to look at. Then they would go and choose another woman whom they will say that she is very attractive. So even when I was a prostitute, I was being bullied by those men that would come looking for our services as prostitutes. And when I was a prostitute, I ended up having a second child, and I do not even know who the father of this child is, because I just did it as someone who didn't know what to do with her life. So any man that will sleep with me without protection, because of my low esteem, I will not even stand up for myself until I fell pregnant. And when I fell pregnant, I just wanted to commit suicide, because I didn't know how I was going to take care of myself and my kids, and worst of all, knowing that my second child, I would never find or know the father, because I fell pregnant whilst I was sleeping with different men at a time. And one day when I was just walking around, in my mind I was just telling myself that it will be far much better if I end up being hit by a truck so that I can just die. I wanted to die at that time. That was when I met this old lady. She stopped me and she asked me where I was headed to. She then told me that she wanted to chase some evil spirits from my body, because those evil spirits, they were the ones that wanted me to lose my life. So we then returned back to her place. Then she started consulting with me, since she was a traditional healer. She then said that these evil spirits, they were staying in my body. And as she was assisting me, when she told me about the evil spirits staying in my body, in my stomach area, I then asked her if it was possible for me to sell my body parts to her, because I was tired of living. I was tired of poverty. She looked at me and she said that even if I was to find a traditional healer that would be willing to buy off your parts, then what is it going to benefit you? Because you are not going to benefit anything. And she said that the only person who will benefit, it will be that person that would have made you to lose your life. So there is no need for you to say that you want to sell your body parts to me. And I said, is there anything that I can do? Is there anything that can be done? I asked her if it was possible for me to sell off my womb. She said that since I had insisted it was going to be okay, she was going to ask a friend of hers who was a traditional healer as her. And she said that this traditional healer was out of the country, because the traditional healer had another property out of the country. So she said that once a friend had arrived back home in Zim, she was going to call me so that I can come. I then told her that I do not even have a phone, so I don't know how you are going to contact me, because I don't have anything. She said, okay, if you do not have anything, how about I offer you a job? She had one maid that was working for her, so I ended up helping out that maid. What we'll do is that since she had lots and lots of clients, so they needed to be fed. So me and that other lady were the ones that were responsible with the cooking, the washing of everything, and making sure that the house was kept in order. At least when I was now working for that traditional healer, I can say that for a moment, life changed. I started providing for my own family until her friend came. When the friend came, then the friend asked me if indeed I wanted to sell my womb. I said, yes, I am tired. What is the use of me keeping my womb when I am poor like this? I am willing to sell off my womb to you so that you can give me money and I'll be able to take care of my kids. Then that traditional healer said that it is going to be very difficult. It is going to be a difficult task. I cannot give you a yes or a no answer. What we are going to do is that my oracle is the one that is going to tell us if it is going to be possible for you to sell off your womb, if I will be allowed to buy the womb from you. So as we were busy consulting, then that traditional healer told me that I was supposed to come and kneel close to him. And once I had came to the once I had and once I was and when I was kneeling at the place where he was seated, he then handed me this other mirror and he explained to me how this mirror was going to work. He said that this mirror was part of his oracle. Anything that the mirror was going to tell him, that is what he was going to do. Anything that the mirror was going to ask from me, that is what I was supposed to do. So as I was kneeling close to him, after he had given me the mirror, he said that I want you to pinch in the middle of the glass. This was when he had asked the magic mirror if he was allowed to buy my womb, and the magic mirror had refused for him to buy my womb because I once had kids before. A person who can only sell off their womb, he said, is one who has never given birth. So there was no deal for me, but he gave me another option. He said, pinch in the middle of that mirror. So I pinched the glass just a little bit, and I saw that in the middle of that mirror, I saw that my father appeared, and my father was the chosen one. And then the traditional healer asked me if I was going to give him permission so that I can sacrifice my father, who had suddenly appeared in the middle of the mirror. And I told the healer that he had to do what he had to do. All that I wanted in that moment was to have a lot of money. I was then given some herbs and some instructions on how I was supposed to dig these herbs in my father's compound. I returned back home late, and when everyone was fast asleep, I then started going around my father's compound whilst I was digging in those herbs in his compound. My father then passed away. After my father had passed away, I can say that I lived for 15 years as I was enjoying this blood money. And this blood money, my brother, it is not like it was coming from expensive deals that I was making. No, they were the small deals that I would do, and these small deals I will end up being overpaid. I once did some deals whereby I would count money until I will grow tired. I ended up opening up an electronics shops and other flea markets as well. And my brother, these small shops that I had, what will happen is that the money that will come from those shops, it will be 10 times more the amount of money that was being made by big businesses. But what happened was that 15 years after they had passed, in the 15th year, that was when I saw that business had suddenly slowed down. Then that traditional healer whom I used to work for, she had died. So after she had passed away, I didn't know what to do anymore because all of my businesses, they were slowing down. I then decided to consult with another healer. When I consulted with that healer, the healer told me that these charms, they didn't have any powers anymore. They have expired. They were just powerless. So I had to return them to the original healer who had given me these charms. And he said that this traditional healer, the chances were quite high that he was going to deny them, for these charms, they were now very dangerous. I then drove all the way to South Africa alone so that I can meet up with that same healer who had given me these charms. When I arrived in South Africa, I went straight to his place. But my brother, the way that this man was treating me, I saw that it seemed as if he was actually looking for people that could end up killing me. And when I saw that I was now in risk of being killed, when he wanted to hire some assassins assassins so that they can kill me. I then returned back home, and this man, what he had done is that he started blaming me when I told him that I wanted to return his charms back to him. He said, so now you want to return these tokologies back to me when they are not powerful. Why didn't you return these charms of mine to me if you knew that they were mine when they were still powerful, when I could be able to use them? Now you want to give them to me when I cannot use them anymore. Then that healer said that I cannot accept this charm. I then returned back home to Zim, and I went to that healer whom I had consulted with. He told me the risk that was involved, and he said that the only thing that you can do is for you to try and to calm down the evil spirit before it kills off your kids, or before it makes you to become like a crippled woman. So I had to do what I had to do. I then asked him what we were supposed to do. He said that the only way that we could do this is if I was going to accept, like placing a curse on my brother's body, and I accepted, and we placed a curse on my brother. As he was consulting with me, he suddenly removed a horn that was as big as an elephant horn. This horn, my brother, for this 15 years, it had been staying inside my stomach as big as it was. He then went outside whilst he was struggling with that big horn, and he threw that horn into the air as if he was throwing a spear or a missile. And when he had thrown that big horn, it then disappeared as it was flying through the air like a spear or a missile. It then went and it struck my brother down. So when I heard the news that my brother had now started running mad, I drove straight to my brother's place, and I found him to be running mad. I asked what had happened, and I heard that my brother, he had been sitting outside whilst he was busy fixing his bicycle. That was when he said that he saw a huge horn that was falling from the heavens, and that huge horn struck him down, and that was when he started running mad. Still, until today, my brother, he is still running mad, but I feel better because with him suffering, it makes these tokologies to calm down. If these tokologies will ever get angry, and if they do not find any way where they can finish off their anger, then they will come for me so that they will make me to become like a crippled woman, and they will kill off my children, and I cannot risk that. It is too much of a risk for me. That is why I placed this curse on my brother so that he can suffer. I then spoke with my brother's wife at that time, and I asked her if she was willing to stay with me, but I saw that she was not willing to stay with me. So I then took my brother. I take care of him because I know that by me taking care of him, then I can survive for a little longer, and my children will be kept safe. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sisters, and then we had to give you this translation. So it was a narration of that translation that was given to me.